All right guys, today we're gonna be talking about composition and perspective. One of the most golden, basic rules about composition, you may have heard of this, is called the rule of thirds. Basically, the rule of thirds is dividing up your frame with lines going from here to here and here to here. The basic idea here is to place your subject along those lines and cross points. This helps create interest. It helps keep the viewer's eye moving about the frame. Let's show you a few more examples of how that looks. All right guys, so to demonstrate the rule of thirds, I wanted to first show you kind of a boring composition. Here I am dead center, right in the middle of the frame. There's some beautiful stuff happening around me, but I want to show you what happens when we move myself, the subject, within these rule of third guidelines. Check it out. So guys, here I am placed on one of the quadrants, one of the rule of third lines, and you can see how it kind of opens the image behind me and kind of shows a more interesting frame. You can also try other spots like right here, or try here, or here. At the end of the day, it's really kind of up to you on where you place your subject, how you position your camera. One little tip I want to mention is that most of the phones do have a rule of thirds grid that you can overlay, so you can kind of use that as a tool to place your subject. I encourage you to try this and kind of move your subject around next time you're out shooting at the museum. All right guys, so one of my biggest pet peeves is when people, including myself, cut off toes. It's important when you're photographing any subject that you try not to chop them off at the toes or certainly any of the joints. So here's a crop where we're chopping them off at the knees, and that just doesn't do it for me. Here we come down here and we're chopping them at the ankles, and again, not a pretty shot. Here we are showing the beautiful Triceratops in its entirety, and this shot works for me. Not to mention the rule of thirds is in play. You can see his backbone going straight down this quadrant here. You can see his head and his armor kind of landing on one of these quadrant crossing spots. So yeah, it's kind of not a crazy composition, but at the end of the day, this is a good representation of this beautiful dinosaur. And let's go ahead and take that shot. Boom, there we go. So here's a really cool scene here in the Paleo Hall. Normally, I am not a fan of shooting any type of angled, diagonal type style shoots. I normally try to line up pretty square to my subjects. I will say, this is a scenario where I think it kind of makes sense to do a bit of a turn here and show this entire scene happening. Guys, I want to talk about perspective now. Perspective basically is where you hold your camera in relation to the subject. So it's amazing how much just moving your camera an inch to the left can change the picture completely and tell a total different story. So really my biggest tip and trick here is to try it all. If you want to photograph this T-Rex over here, I really highly recommend shooting a vertical, shooting a horizontal, shooting it from down low, getting your camera up high and kind of trying that angle. Really, at the end of the day, you won't know what you get until you shoot it. So it's important to try to play with that and kind of get a feel for what looks best. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. And remember, just because you're using your cell phone does not mean you can't produce beautiful and stunning images. Next time you're at the museum, be sure to hashtag CaptureHMNS for a chance to be featured on our social media pages.